Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's got audio. Okay, hello. Okay, great. All right. So the big headline today, of course, is budgetary, really. But we'll go through one last time. I made some adjustments. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we'll go through this. Now, according to the original proposal there that was created by about three people, I think it took it together from beginning to end. So what we're currently looking at is we take the lump sum of $26,741.73 and divide it up according to the way that the proposal was written. So we ended up with a pie that looks something like this. So VHF antenna, which is what we're focusing on today and what we're going to talk about, will get about 24% of that funding. Now, of course, nothing comes out exactly even the way you like it, so we're a little bit over. So I have an idea of what I think we should do, but I'm curious what others think, and then we'll compare it all together here, and we'll wait there. Les is logging on. All right, so the big question here is the VHF antenna. So, and also, by the way, the IP networking team there is hard at work as well. And damn, I forgot. I wanted to put that slide in, but okay, it doesn't matter. We'll get it. We'll get this is will be mount. This will be, and don't forget we have the shared file, the shared server now, so that you can downlink, or download or look at it. Maybe not download because then it won't update. But if you have to refer to it, it's good to go to the shared server. So pretty much. So Mike, um, W8 VPC, Mike. So he went through the list and put it together. This is the bill of materials. Then I looked at it. I added a few things, and then he added a few things. So here's what we basically are standing at this very moment, where we have hardware of just under $10,000 and we have labor about $2,000. So it's about a $12,000 project, a little, under by the time all said and done. But the problem is if we stick and we want to try as much as possible because don't forget when we start getting into replacing the hardware and the equipment rack and some of the networking stuff and other things, we don't want to run short. We don't want to spend everything all up front without giving it real thought. Anyhow, so we need to come up with about $3,500 of savings. I will tell you that these are based on just the following inquiries. Oh, this is what Mike submitted there, and they're close, except for one item, and I updated the one item on mine. Anyway, so this is what the antenna looks like, the Telwave antenna, and it's very well put together and seems to meet our needs. So we have the antenna. The one thing I wanted to look at, which I thought was interesting, and I started this last week, and I finished it up a little bit later. I just wanted to see what it looks like, because there's a lot of complaining about people who live within about a 2 mile radius, which is true, but whether that's shadow from the building shadowing the signal or whether it's overload. Um, so there. So I guess I'm gonna have to back up a minute and we'll catch everybody up here. Just one last time so that we just real quick. So just bear with me just a second. Bear with me just a second. Okay. I think Al is now in. Mike is here. Mike, you're here, right? W8 VPC, Mike.
Yeah.
You are. Okay, great. Okay. All right. So, Mike, so basically what we're talking about is we're talking about the split here and how do we bring our numbers a little bit better in line so that towards the end of the project we don't run out of funding. And and so that's what we're going to talk about here. We started a little bit early, but that's okay. Bob just logged on, so terrific. We got a nice group here again. we'll go through this. Want to keep it under an hour. Anyway, so one more time here. So here's our pi, right? And we're working on the VHF antenna. So we get about a quarter, 25% of the pie, more or less there. So that's what I originally laid everything out according to the proposal. Basically, I took the proposal and interpreted it, and these are the numbers. So, and that's just a guideline. It's just a structure, because, like I said, nothing ever comes out exactly even, and that's true. We're about $3,500, $3,400, $3,500 over, so we have to make a few adjustments. Now, again, you get different as you go in there, especially these days. It seems like prices seem to be drifting upward. Well, definitely not drifting downward. Let me put it that way. But these are based on just research and so on. So what I did is this was the original. I took Mike's spreadsheet here, and we were very, very close. I added one item. The ground plate kit was left out, so now that's in the overall count. I got a little bit more. Mike came about 10K, and altogether, including labor here, but this includes the labor, we got about 11 and a half. So that's good. So there's a few things that we can do about that, which we'll talk about in just a second. But here's the antenna. Here's again, I just wanted to see what it looked like in the shadow, but we can talk about all that later. And then, there's certain geographical factors between certain places that aren't always in our favor. But anyway, so here's the antenna. So the antenna, this is a quote from the antenna farm. It's an actual quote. They want about $450 for shipping, which is about right. This thing is really awkward, and I think they have to somehow they truck it. I don't know what. I'm trying to picture what it would come
Probably
up.
a freight truck.
A freight truck, yeah. But my question
Yeah,
is,
it's 20 feet long, so it has to come by a truck.
right, exactly. But can that truck, the size of the truck, like, where are we going to deliver this thing? So that, and I don't want to answer this right now. I don't want to take time right now. We'll get the logistics going. But anyway, if just generally speaking, if we're going to be able to use Lens Garage, the truck has to get through those streets. So I don't know. Anyway, this is a
That would just not be an issue, Joe.
exactly. So let's
You
move
can
on.
have a semi down there, no issue.
And
Okay.
You'll have you'll have to figure out a way to logistically get it from wherever it's stored at to the repeater too. It
Yes.
You gotta,
might
Joe,
sit on top of the truck.
my pickup truck is 23 foot long. That's just not gonna be an issue.
Okay. That's great news. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you very much for that. Okay. And
How about getting it up to the top of the roof? We got a way to do that.
We got a rope.
well, not yet.
we,
We will answer
we
that
will have
question.
to talk to the company that's going to do the install.
Oh, so
And
they
we're
might
going
have
to have to pull it up the side of the building.
Okay, I mean, like as long as we think about that, and this has come up before, about because it's a unibody thing, we can't break it down, so we gotta,
Right.
yeah.
Remember
So
what Sean said at breakfast. Let the contractor take care of the details. You just give them the result and let the contractor take care of the details.
Right. So, well, right. I'll be happy when we're at that point. We have to figure that out, because we'll be ahead of where we are right now. So, but we'll get it up there. We'll get it up there. Don't you worry about that. But it does bring up a good point with something like the antenna. Does it make sense to it probably makes sense to deliver it right to the site and make arrangements to have it hold it there in the parking lot, or so. I don't know, but I'm all right. It just occurred to me. I'll write this down. Anyway, we'll get that sorted. Next, the polyphaser, the lightning arrestor. Okay, so that's pretty much in line with the pricing, and I looked at it. as you can see, the frequency range of these things is pretty incredible. We're only in this portion of it. So we're in the very, very bottom of what these things were, this particular one anyway, was designed for. But
Yeah,
we're,
that's the wrong one.
it's
You
what?
want a female to female, not a female to male. And that's what I have in my
Good
spreadsheet.
catch. What this is
Same
that MA?
characteristics though.
Hold on. Let's double check that. Okay, that's a good point. We don't want to get that mixed up. All right, I'll go back and double check that and we'll get that right. Well, let's go back right now, I guess. Okay, so here we have lightning arrestor poly. Oh, you have the CO. Very good. All right. Okay. Good catch. Thank you. All right, the next thing that's on the list there, of course, is the tin cans, 6 of them. This is what we currently have, and I only wish there was a date that these were installed, but I will tell you it was not in this century, so they're pretty old. But anyway, uh, here again, we'll go for they have 2 versions of these. Four, I'll show you this, four tanks and 6, and you can see with the 6 tanks, even though we don't need 400 kilohertz separation, we're really 600. So the 4 tanks would work. I would really say let's go for the quality units because the more isolation we can have, the better. And so that would be my recommendation, quite frankly. And I know it's a little pricey, but I think in the long run, we're better off. Here are the specifications for it and so on. And there's a few dollars to ship it. It came out a lot less than I thought to ship it, like $60. So I'm not sure that's 100%. Maybe there's something in there. But anyway, these are fine.
What's the price difference between the two, between the 4 and the 6?
That is a good question, which I don't have at my
If we're all over budget,
right. All right, I'll get it. Give me a second, and we'll come back to that. I'll go to it real quick. Let me just think.
Well, we will need to stick with the 6 can because of the isolation.
I really would, even if it's more. I would agree with Mike on
Because
that.
we are in a high RF area, even though there's not high RF at the site, but across the street there is.
Yeah.
So I
Okay,
would stick
so-
with 6 can.
okay, that's fine. Just the way that when Joe, you presented it as like we should just go for this one because bigger is better. I didn't realize that there was an actual reason for it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's for real. And the other thing too, we've been given a little bit more headroom now that much of that equipment's been removed. The telephone equipment's been removed. But it's absolutely correct. And the WDIV tower is like 2 inches down the road, you know. So I mean, this is stuff that in the big picture, there's places to save, but I don't know. But I'll get that. That's an interesting question, and I just can't remember off the top of my head, but I saw it and it's
Well,
there.
no, if we need the 6 can, don't waste your
Yeah.
time. That's fine. If we need the 6 can, we need the 6 can. But if it's
Yeah.
just if it was bigger is better, well then
Well, in this case,
like what
deeper,
the price difference was.
deeper is better here. See how you have the deeper notches? You got 100 dB of isolation there. And between the transmit and the receive, ours is 600 kilohertz. But here it's a much better product and you'll be happy further down the line. This is a picture of our existing circulator. So we'll need to take a look at that. I forgot what this thing here is in the lower left-hand corner. I just can't remember what it is, but I know it's some sort of a filter, but I was trying to put together in my head what filter is
I
that?
think that's on the UHF receiver side. I
Is
think
it?
it's a notch filter for the UHF receivers.
That's right, because this is the top panel this is the top of the rack, and in front of this panel, that's where the distribution
And you have
for
a TV splitter
yes.
that splits the antenna to 4 receivers. But I think that's part of that circuit.
Got it. Got it. So we need to keep that in mind, not for now, but well, that's interesting. Okay.
We would address that later.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, 'cause we're okay. Got it. Got it. All right. Next. Um, oh, so here's how these things work is if you have a lot of gain, a lot of strong signals coming in to which is supposed to be you know, on the transmit side, but it leaks in, and so what the circulator does is it shunts it to ground while at the same time letting port one feed port two. So it's and it comes with a dummy load as part of the price if you get the new one. So, this is what I'm talking about. So here you have two,
And the one I picked has 2 dummy loads, and I tried to find the part number that mounts on the can, and they didn't have it on the antennafarm.com website. But I picked the one with the 2 dummy loads. It has more. I think it's better for our installation.
Is that this one on the right?
It's the one on the right, only it's the one that doesn't attach to the duplexer.
Okay.
If we can find out what's needed to mount it to the duplexer, that would be even better.
I was trying to picture, why would you want to do that? I mean, I don't know.
Well, one thing you don't want to do is set it on carbon steel shelf, because that will mess the isolator up. It would cause problems because there are components inside that are affected by magnetic ferrous metals.
Yeah, the whole thing is
that
made
makes sense.
Yeah, the whole thing is made out of ferrite. Yeah. All right. Anyway, all right, we'll get that updated.
So I think aluminum's okay.
Oh, this is it. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, bingo.
Oh, that's the one. All right. All right, I'll change it.
And all I did was take the one has 2 dummy loads on it. I think it has more isolation. And I just picked that one for the price.
Yeah, it's got about here. You can see the single has 35 dB, which is the absolute minimum. It's like the legal limit, sort of, not legal limit, but practice, I guess. 35. Your spurs should be at least 35 dB below the carrier. The dual will give you 70. So okay, that looks good. All right. So we got that. I'll get that straightened out, and then finally the grounding kit, which is good, very good. You know what's missing here, though? What are we going to do about a rack? That's one thing, but I'll come back to that. It just occurred to me that we're getting grounding strips, so we don't have an equipment rack yet. So then, of course, the cable, and there's a million choices. I want somebody to explain to me what is the difference between $4 $4 a linear foot versus $10 a foot. Why are these two things different is beyond me. And beyond that, so then you have here, this is $5 a foot, the same thing. And then here, I mean, the prices is all over the place off the map. So
yeah, I got $1.99 a foot plus a charge to have the connectors pre-installed. Not that, we could do the install of connectors ourselves, but I like to have them already installed.
Yeah. So, right.
And I don't know why I got $1.99 a foot versus what you got at $4 a foot.
Now I got a maximum Pasternak. Of course, Pasternak is always expensive, but they're like $10 a foot. And I want to know somebody explain to me what the difference is. And I don't know. Anyway, one thing I think we want to be a little more careful. I don't think we want to make a big loopity loop here. I think
Joe, you might want to confirm with Sean about the different types of heliacs. Some of them require a specialty tool to fix the connectors to. So, right, if you don't have them pre-assembled, you're probably going to have to buy a specialty tool to work with the Andrews.
Seconded, because we've run into that situation at the east site. There's, connectors on that coax that are not your usual
That's
like
what this,
N or SO239 or anything like that. Last time I was up there, we dealt with that.
this
Well,
is,
we have the contractors doing the work out there. They quite possibly may have that tool and they can take care of that for us.
Or we could give a heads up that that's what they're walking into.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
They
And,
would they would have all the tools
John
to
has
install it.
John has availability to those tools.
yeah. Who's John?
And the ComScope
John,
connectors are relatively easy to install on the smaller diameter. I don't know about the half inch. I got quarter inch at the house here, and it's simple to install. But
Yeah.
I can understand the larger diameter. I would think that over at the hospital it's 7/8 or inch and 5/8 or something bigger, and that requires special install tools. Now,
Yeah.
well, at this point, I don't think we should worry about that because we do have access to people who have those.
right,
Yeah.
but if we get enough feed line, they can cut it back and reinstall the connectors.
Exactly.
Now, I know as you have, Joe, you have a big question mark at the loop-de-loop there.
Really?
That was most likely a 50-foot run with connectors, and we really don't need 50 feet where the equipment is now and where the antenna is now. So we could technically, when we get the new feed line and let the installer shorten it and reconnect the connectors, we could get rid of that loop.
Yeah, that
That'll
looks
cut down
good.
on loss too.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mike?
I just said it'll cut down on loss too. Remember, the shorter the run, the more signal gets where it's supposed to go.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that because I thought the same thing too, and I looked it up. And to be honest, it's only what 10 feet or
I
something.
don't think it's that much, but yeah,
But yeah,
there is loss.
there's very, very little. But it's so amateurish to do it that. I mean, come on, we can cut our cables to length. We know how to.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I don't know if the contractors are going to be just working at the main site, but we have received. Well, Sean actually complained to me about how the east site, our equipment looked over there. John and I, you and I had to go over there and clean stuff up because there were wires going all over the place, and Sean just did not like that. So, and
No.
then and he's right because there's a lot of other professional stuff on that floor, and then there's us. Then we look like we rolled in with some jerry rig bullshit. It's like we really needed to.
You look
Right.
like amateurs.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. We can at least we are amateurs, but we can at least look pro. At least thankfully that's fixed over there now. But this is something we really need to keep in mind, especially with that building manager probably snooping around the day of when we get all that stuff installed.
That
Yeah.
and the more work you can have the contractors do, the better it is for us.
Yeah. 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 I
We
mean,
don't we
everybody.
don't need to be putting our hands in the middle of everything.
No.
'Cause
But
Joe,
what I
Joe,
did want. Yes, go ahead.
it's Mark. Did you still want an answer to your question about linear foot versus foot?
Oh, I do. Thank you. You have it? Okay.
Finally, as a property manager, I can contribute something here.
Okay.
You're going to see that on, things where you're buying lumber, trim, stuff like that. When measuring in a straight line, a foot and a linear foot are the same measurement. They're the same calculation. There is no difference.
There is no. Okay.
So you
All
don't
right.
have to worry about it.
So, okay.
If
All
somebody
right.
puts it, when you're doing an apples to apples on across quotes, if somebody just
Yeah.
puts so much per foot and someone else says per linear foot, it's the same calculation.
But
when
okay.
is there a difference?
I'll give you that. But what my question really is what is the difference? In other words, to pay $2 a foot for Heliax or pay $10 a foot for who pays $10 a foot? And if they do, why? Why would they do that? Is it a
Well,
better
that's
quality? Are we getting a better,
well,
you know?
that's when you're going to look at the loss and for the quality.
Well, if it's the same type part number, like You had it up. Joe had it up.
What is the what's the insulation composition? One may be more UV resistant or maybe riser.
Well, you have plenum rated and you have
Yeah, and
plenum.
that's going to have
Plenum
different
rated is double the
chemicals in
price.
it. They'll have different chemicals and different cost.
Oh, and outdoor and indoor too, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some are more UV resistant.
check the shielding too, because as somebody who bought a bunch of quote unquote cheap RG8X back when they first reactivated in the hobby and found out exactly why it was cheap. I think I could count the number of copper strands on that first batch I bought. Lesson learned. I always buy the more expensive stuff because it's better shielding, and therefore you won't run into as much loss and as many problems.
Right, and then you'll get some that the casings, the outside casings, after it's been in the sun for about 3 or 4 years, will start cracking.
Absolutely. You know what? Absolutely. So, all right. Well, that answers that question. So we should be aware of the jacket, the environmental, and it's got to be outside. That's the other thing. And there's a ton of cable. I mean, you look at even from Pasternak here, they're charging $5 a foot, right? But here they're charging 10. I mean, so what? It's the same thing. I don't get it. But anyway, all right. So we'll get that sorted. That's the least of our.
Yeah,
The,
I would pull the data sheets for from both vendors and see if is a difference, and if it's just you're paying more because it's Pasternak, or you're paying more because it's actually a higher quality product.
yeah.
Probably a better
Okay.
built coax.
If you see the word plenum, you're going to pay more, period.
Yeah, because it goes up in the
That's-
ceiling.
I think the plenum is like Teflon. The outside jacket's Teflon coated.
It's fireproof.
And
Fireproof.
Fireproof
Yeah.
is the thing.
Or
did
fire
have
resistant.
firework. Fire alarm.
Fire resistant, right?
Yeah, we had to be real careful where we ran vertical cable as opposed to horizontal cable also in fire alarm stuff. But yeah,
Oh wow, yeah.
fire will travel up a cable where it
And
won't
it could be
travel
mil spec rated too, or
Well, the other thing is, in a fire, some of those cables emit toxic fumes, where others do
plenum
not.
does not.
Yeah. Plenum is for insurance, I think, to get a
Yep.
fire. You have to have plenum in certain areas. There's a whole thing. Anyway,
Now that brings
It's
up one
just so it
question I
doesn't
have,
rain
Joe.
plastic on top of the fire department.
Yeah, is any of this going to be inspected by anybody?
well, that's a great question.
'Cause that's going to
And
make a
we will
big
find
difference.
that. First of all, it's going to be inspected by us, and there's no fussier inspector. I can
If you
assure you.
have a building a
I
permit,
can- I
they
can
have to
introduce
inspect
you.
it.
And the building manager and so on. But good
But-
point is
But no
we're-
no municipal inspections?
I don't know the answer to that. It is a residence, and in fact, it's not only a residence, but I don't want to say it's a hospital, but it's special,
Right.
like special needs, seniors with oxygen and stuff like that. So
Probably should reach out to the Oak Park and see if you got to pull a permit for any of this.
exactly.
Well, hold on a second, because you could shoot yourself in the foot pulling a permit. The contractor would need to pull a permit because he's the one doing the mounting of the building.
That's
Right.
right.
In that case, we'll let the contractor worry about it.
Yeah, but the contractor will charge us back. I got $300 in for building permits and stuff, If not, we can buy paper plates and have them at the picnic in August. Anyway, the next thing I just wanted to bring out is, okay, so let's say where is this rack? First of all, we have to buy a rack, so that's not in any of this. And I've
I've got two relay racks up in East Jordan that are just sitting there, and I just don't have transportation.
19
Maybe
inch
I could
rack.
get Hugh to go on a side trip.
How
He's
far
up
away
this
is East
place.
Jordan?
How tall are they?
7 foot, and it says Harris on the top.
Oh, now that's cool.
Came out of a TV station transmitter room.
A 19 inch rack, right?
Yeah, about
Yeah,
7
yeah.
foot high, aluminum.
Okay.
How tall did you say?
That is a trip though up there. That's like make like you're going to Traverse City, but it's even further. You got to go up 31.
Well,
Is
you
it?
got to go up I-75
Oh, you just do 75 then cut over. Okay, yeah, that'd be
Gaylord,
faster.
Well,
M32
Still like
to East Jordan.
it's
How
still
much
like
would
what, 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yes.
How much would it cost to ship it? $100? A couple $100? I mean,
Well, someday I plan to rent a truck and go up and clean my storeroom out and try to get those racks. I got 2 racks and 2 cabinets,
How tall did you say they are?
7 foot.
footers.
Well, if the club would cover my gas, I'll go get them.
Oh yeah, well for sure.
Hey,
But for
Mike,
what? Yeah, expenses.
Mike,
Yeah,
yeah, it's Mark. You know that we did the truck down to North Carolina,
yeah.
and so for those on the call, I may be an amateur radio operator, but I have a commercial driver's license. So if you want more than just that rack to come down, maybe we can pool resources, rent a truck, and I can get up there, get everything, and come down in one fell swoop.
Okay.
I was going to rent a U-Haul and swing by Charlevoix, empty my storeroom, and then swing by East Jordan and grab the cabinets, or vice versa.
You were
Make
just
sure
going to
the
do the
cabinets-
driving and everything yourself?
I was going to drive it myself. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you want help, I'll volunteer.
Okay.
And
Hey,
Mike,
Mike.
sounds like Mike will too.
Hey, Mike, W8BPC, I have a question for you. So I wasn't familiar with the term relay rack, so I just looked it up, and it seems to just be a frame. Is that the case? Is it just a frame without doors?
Yeah. Two. Just yeah. It's just a 7 foot tall
So
frame
just as
relay
long,
rack is what I
so just
call it.
as so
And
just as
then two
long as
cabinets.
folks are
One's
okay with,
RCA cabinet, just like the old RCA 440 repeater, and the other cabinet is just like the what you see the Dart, the current Dart. It's a Motorola cabinet. It doesn't have the meters on top, but
Well, that's what I think we want the Motorola cabinet then.
well,
I'm
the
picturing.
the way things go nowadays is everything's mounted in relay racks, other than cabinets, but you know.
But
They're
there's
there.
no shield.
And
There's
we have
no.
that, John has that RCA repeater sitting in his garage. We can gut the repeater and use that cabinet too. So
Yeah, I think we
we
want
can
to.
put the duplexers in one of those cabinets.
You don't think you don't think it's better to have an enclosure? I mean, who knows who walks through there? You know what I mean? I
It would
mean,
help with RF too.
and it would help. Yeah, yeah. It's one thing if you have your own equipment room, and you got rows and rows of equipment racks, then the relay racks make sense. Up here, the security, I mean, there's all kinds of, the people who work, and I mean, I'm sure the people are fine, but it would give me a little more security. But we should mount the license, by the way, frame it or something up there. Somebody asked me about that. Anyway, all right, so we'll figure that out. What I wanted to talk about before we run out of time here is the so just for example, let's say we take the other rack, whatever rack it turns out to be. I'm picturing it just kind of goes on this side of this side here, and there's maybe a 2 or 3 foot, probably a 3 foot in between them. So the reason I bring that up is then you have this steel column right here, and as you can see, there's 2 screws here and here. And then I'm looking at what's on the outside of this, and I'm looking and I'm seeing something that looks like this, and something that looks like this, and I'm not exactly sure. The touch point is right here where the cable comes out of the wall, which I know is on the back behind us. This is just the wrong shot on it. But anyway, so the question is, before we buy any cable at all, we got to figure out where we're going to put the antenna. And of course, before we do anything, we got to figure out where we're going to put the antenna. So listen, as far as I'm concerned, you can mount it right there, So, but we'll let we'll let the folks there figure that out and
I
give us
thought
a
the
recommendation. But
installer is
shorter
going
is
to figure out
better,
where
I
the
would
antenna
think.
goes.
I'm sorry, is somebody
I
saying
thought the
something?
installer is going to figure out where the antenna goes.
Yeah, but it's a group conversation here. Listen, shorter is better, and if it's closer to the equipment rack, one would think that that would be advantageous. It's a very short transmission line, and if it's right outside, and we already have the penetrations into the side, right? So there's something to consider. All right, so I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying this is what we're doing. I'm just saying this is what we're going to consider doing. So anyway, all right. And other than figuring out all that, I think that's the rest of the slides we've seen. I don't have
Okay, so
anything
we're going to talk
new.
finances. Is that what the plan is?
Oh, yeah. So let's do that. So we have
So
three
the
choices.
reason the
Yeah,
reason
go
that I
ahead.
want to talk finances is because
Okay.
my list, including the UHF and the 4 remote receives, is coming out to 3,742, which is a lot more than what was budgeted. If I take out the north and the west, I'm coming out to just like $3 less than 3,000, which is like $500 over where I should be. And I just like I don't care. I can take pieces out of this. That's fine, but we start to lose functionality. It was never the plan. It was never the intention to do this to the remote receives. It was only supposed to go to the UHF site, and we were supposed to remain on RF to the remote receives.
For the time
So
being, yeah.
I did this because that was the direction that we were going, but we don't have the money for it. So I'm already over budget, minimum 500 and possibly 1,300 if you want to buy the equipment for the north and the west.
Do you have like a layout of what kind like a plan of exactly what it's all going to look like? Like I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You know who I met at breakfast with very interesting character. Fred. You guys know Fred?
Fred Moses.
WFSM.
Fred, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh, Fred
yeah.
Moses. Yeah, I know him.
Was Fred Moses there?
Yeah, he
Wow.
was.
He would be the one to talk to make arrangements with the MI5 guys.
So what I
He's
did
the
was
MI5 guy.
he is
Talk to
definitely the guy.
Yeah, he is the MI5 more or less. He's got some guys helping him, but he is really the puppet master in that whole group.
So I have before I hand out any information about the building and so on with security, I gotta it's gotta get cleared. But I gave them this to give them an idea of what I made up this this network here, right? Based on things. So, and I just want to give him an idea of what we were interested in doing, and if we could have our network join his network. We were talking about stuff like that. So I took an old a drawing that we did in the past. This is what I was sort of talking about there, David. It's something like this, just so we can get an idea of what is the big picture going to look like. If you want to just scribble it out, I can do this kind of the drafting of it, but just so that we're all on the same page, and then I just wanted him to know that, listen, this is the future technology, and it's a great opportunity for our club to, stay current with everything. So these are just some
Well,
ideas worth
a
thinking
couple of
about.
meetings ago, I said, yes, absolutely. I'm interested in hearing. Reach out to me. Here's my email address. Here's my phone number. And nobody did. So I just started moving forward with Ubiquity equipment.
And and guess what? It's exactly the right thing to do. And that's what we need. We need, yeah.
So I think the question here, and Dave, please, correct me if I'm wrong, is that with this feature, creep that we have going on here, we are going to be coming in well over budget for that piece of it. So we have to make the decision, do we find another way to like take pieces out and just, go without that functionality, or what do we do to get back in scope? Like
Right. And if you go,
just to say like, look, we can't do this right now, maybe in the future.
yeah, yes, that is what I'm saying. And Joe, if you go back to your pie chart, I want to draw attention to something quick.
Or the club could
must have
have a fundraiser to get the necessary funds for next year.
Joe, if you can go back to the pie chart there for one
I'm
second.
trying
Cool.
to, but the pie chart's broken. What happened here? Hold on, let me try this. I was trying to do that very quietly without drawing attention to the fact it's not working. There we go.
Okay. So here under network equipment, you have all the network equipment listed, and then under UHF hardware, you have internet link. So I don't know where that internet link was accounted for. I didn't see it in the breakdown that I was using. It's the total budgeted number that I was using was the $2,504, which is here the
Right.
bottom line.
Right.
So that was the number that I was using, but it looks like under UHF hardware, there's also some IT money there, but I don't know how much.
Let's take a look at that. What this is for them, except for one or two or three small changes, is this is a copy and paste out of Andrew's proposal, because I thought it's a good starting point, and obviously this stuff is going to be moved around, and we got to make it all fit. And what was your question again? Oh, yes. So there, I see that internet link under the UHF hardware. So that's a good good point. We'll take a look at that. Okay. All right. So I have the choices that I thought I had a screen on, and let me just give me a second to see if I could pull them up without like.
While you're doing that, let me just throw my 2 cents and
Yeah,
say
go
that
ahead. Go ahead, please. Thank you. Yes.
that I think that the RF side, the antenna, the cavities, the feed line, all of that stuff is more important than the IP side. So
At
like
this
if
time.
if this is a future decision and we just stay with the dishes that we purchased, like the one set of dishes, and get internet over to the UHF side and call it a day at that stage, I support that. But when I join these meetings, it's Mike you described it the best there with scope creep. It ballooned into a much bigger project than was ever intended.
So I have a
Like
question for
when we
I
wrote it the first time, it was only supposed to be the UHF, and then when Andrew rewrote it, he actually took out the receiver. He only left in one transmitter, as opposed to 10, 5 receivers and 5 transmitters. He only budgeted for one transmitter, and that was it. So yeah, I just want to let folks know that I'm also over budget.
Yes.
Okay, let's remember one thing, um, just as kind of a global principle. As an amateur radio club, it is not our goal. Our main interest is not in holding $6,000 in our checking account. Our main goal is to promote amateur radio. Now, for years, year after year, we have budgeted $2,000 for repeater equipment. So far this year, we've spent nothing. So, in this year's budget, which ends in 15 days, we have $2,000 budgeted. Starting July 1st, we have another $2,000 budgeted. Now, if we spend this 2,000 and that 2,000, yes, it's going to take our bank balance down to between $3,000 and $4,000 for the club. But it's like, and it was, God, it was. Do you remember Larry Koziel back in the days when we had 9 or 10,000 in the account? He said it is not our mission to have $10,000 in the bank. It's our mission to promote amateur radio. Look, I don't know this. I'm not technically sophisticated enough, to really weigh in on what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But you know what? Let's not be afraid to spend the budgeted dollars in addition to the grant dollars to make this a really, really, really good thing.
I
Can
so
I make a
agree.
comment
So
on
here's
that?
a nice compromise I just thought of. Thank you, Bob, for the inspiration for that. So what I think
once removed or twice
anyway,
removed.
So what I think is let's keep the grant money budgeted for what it originally was. Let's get through that. But if we do want to do the what Dave wants to do with the IP networking, or what Dave and I guess they're going to set up whatever's going to happen there.
Would be first cousin.
Then
I thought that was a very
Mike, get
N8VDZ,
Could you get a Joe mute N8VDZ, will you? We've got a lot of background noise coming in.
Will do. Hold on.
When I joined the club, there was $25,000 in the treasury. For years, they didn't spend nothing until they changed the presidency.
Okay.
Oh, Les, when I left office, there was $7K. What's your point?
Hold on,
I'm saying they don't want to spend no money. The membership changed, and they finally wanted to spend money.
Okay.
Mike, KAW, I think Les is volunteering to kick in $18,000 so we get back up to 25.
Yeah,
if I want to lose my house and everything I got, I'll do it.
Raise money at the October meeting. I vote for that.
Well, you can move in with Jay.
But my whole point for Dave's part of the project is he only needs another 500 from what's already budgeted.
Right.
If we spend it in the next 15 days, it's budgeted.
I think that's what I was trying to say before the background noise got me. But yeah, I was thinking let's use the grant money for what the grant money is for, which is, but dude, yeah, I'm personally I'm okay with it as being just another member at this point. I say yeah, it's probably fine.
Okay, so here are some things that I came up with. I that's now that we had that, but I'm with I'm with you 100% on that. Anyway, okay, so take the difference out of the tool supply and labor in the pie chart in its totality, which I don't know. I'm really a number 2 guy. I would take 1,600 out of the tool supply and labor that's in that pie chart, and then take $1,600 from the repeater maintenance budget. That's what I would choose. The other thing is remove low priority items, which or use lower quality components. Antennas, like in real estate, they have location is what they say, right? Well, in amateur radio, it's antenna. It's all about your antenna. This is not a place I would choose to, use lower quality components or whatever. So perhaps,
give Dave the money and let him cook. Absolutely. Take it out of the budget or reimburse yourself from the grant. 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, but just don't fall for the lower quality components.
Yeah.
Buy once, cry once.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I guess let me just propose, and then we can decide whether we want to do that. So if we want to talk about splitting the 1,600 between tools, suppliers, and labor and the repeater budget, and we need to spend that $2,000 in the next 15 days, well, how about we take that 1,600 from the repeater budget and move it into this current project, and the $500 that I've been reimbursed for the current set of dishes would make up the rest of that. It would come up to $2,100 out of the $2,000 that was budgeted for this year. And then that's this year's repeater budget taken care of.
I second it.
Okay. Bob, what do you think about that?
Sounds okay to me. So what we're taking for right now is 1,600, or we're taking the whole 2,000?
Well, you've reimbursed me 500 already. You've written me a check for 500, so that would come out of the repeater funds, and then the 1,600 would come out of the repeater funds to be spent in this project. So it would just join the pot of money for the grant pot of money.
Right. So you would move 2,000. Well, you might as well take the 2,000. In 15 days, take the 2,000 and just move it into the grant fund, right? Oh, he just walked away.
Well, you
Okay.
have to write a check to Dave.
Hang on,
Sorry, I did.
question.
I thought you were done with me. I'm listening.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
No. So that is what I'm proposing. Yes.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Okay.
Hey,
Dave,
Joe.
we thought you walked away to bang your head into the wall.
Now that comes later.
Hey, Joe. Joel,
Yes.
can you bring up the PDF of the spreadsheet I sent you,
Oh yeah, hold on, stand by here.
please?
Yes. As soon as I can find my cursor,
Pretty, please.
hold on. I have it here. Oh, sorry, wrong way. Hold on. There.
Okay. I created a cart on repeater on the antennafarm.com. That's how I came up with the price with that, what you see there. What I don't know is how much the duplexers are going to cost in freight. I think you figured that out on one of the
Yeah,
other
it's
pages.
a
But
couple $100.
do I keep that cart or do I delete the cart? And do we create an account with Hazel Park or the Dart, or because we can buy it right now. If I can find out the out the door price, with we need a tax ID.
Well,
I can find all that out, and then we can buy all that stuff right now.
right.
Bob has a tax ID, I hope.
Yeah, I would
yeah.
have to,
All right,
but
but
I'd have
hold
to
on.
arrange with that antenna farm to find out the details. It would be under my name, but we could ship it to any address.
Yeah, hold on. First of all, we need to do this a little more organized, if you don't mind. Number one, we need to find the installer because we need to get the plan for how we're going to install this. Then we need to go to the building management and get an okay saying, yes, you can do that. Because if something should change, and I don't think it will, and I know this is a bit on the cautious side, but the minute we get an authorization from the building management, we can push the send button and send the order in. But I would be very
It should
hesitant.
stay. It's been there. I deleted it. I redid it again. It should stay there
Don't change anything
for a while. So
yeah.
I'll keep it if that's what we want to do. Just Mikey will keep it for now. And then let me know what you want to do.
Exactly. Just don't. Yeah.
We're not ready to hit the buy it now.
Perfect.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah.
For once.
I'm sorry. Say again.
For once, I understand.
Oh. Okay. Excellent. This is good. This is all good. All right. So we're moving here in the right direction. So this is good. Gosh, I had something else I was going to say and I forgot. All right. Well, all right. Does anybody have anything else? That's pretty much what we have here. So we will move exponentially faster than where we've been going. But
one other thing back to the beginning.
And I have something also.
Your truck delivery of the antenna.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be a tailgate delivery. So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 or 3. I don't know how much it weighs. But you're probably going to need some help getting it off the truck because it might just be tailgate delivery.
Yeah, can Leonard accept a semi at his house?
Yes.
Well, hold on.
I had before.
Well, so the question is,
okay.
When I speak, hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves because I think, right? I mean, I think the ideal thing is to have it delivered and stored on site.
Yeah.
Make some kind of an arrangement rather than. I mean, we could deliver it to.
Well, even if it's at site, though, you want to make sure you got some people that can take it from the tailgate
that can take it off the truck.
The shipping weight is 65 pounds. It says it right down there at the bottom.
So probably
the antenna weighs 60.
The shipping weight.
That's not
your shipping weight. Yes, it is.
65 pounds, really?
Is the shipping weight. The antenna weighs, I think,
it says right there, yeah.
Scroll down, you can see the antenna weight. Well, you cut
2
it
young
off.
people or 5 of us old people.
All right. Well, we'll start working out now. Okay. All right, excellent, very
So,
good.
Joe,
So,
real quickly, I'm curious, have you put out any feelers? Have you tested the water? Have you contacted anybody over at WDIV at their transmitter site before we get too wrapped up in putting everything forward at the retirement center there in Oak Park? Has any progress been made, perhaps, of moving the whole station over there?
yeah, and I have not yet, because of all this other stuff that's going on. And I would say, with my experience, it would take about 6 months to a year to make that arrangement, and I think by then we would get a second set of equipment or move things or whatever. I think for right now, our best bet is to continue forward with the apartment, and we can always the apartment building, and we can always keep that as a backup location. And then if we can move to the tower, of course, that's five, that's up there. And also, it's in a protected area as well, and a bunch of other reasons. Uh, but I'm very interested in that. And no, I haven't done it yet, but
Yeah, it
I'm
depends on who owns the tower, because uh,
right.
and Channel 2 doesn't allow any third party on their tower, as well as the tower that the Spirit is on. Spirit got on their tower because the engineer
Who works there?
who works there,
Yeah,
and they had a spare feed line and a spare antenna that they weren't using. So they were lucky, damn lucky to get that site.
yeah.
So I would assume, and I know what that means, um, Channel 4 WDIV
DIV.
does not own the tower.
You,
They lease the tower. It might be
no,
Sinclair, it might be
you're
Global. So
it's
it
it.
doesn't
Oh, I
hurt
can
to
tell
ask.
you. I know for a fact. Well, I can tell you this. I know that the NBC stations sold all their towers, all their O&Os, owned and operated. Some sold their television towers to like cell phone companies and stuff like that. And this even includes in Washington, D.C., WRC, where their tower is up on top of a mountain. Anyway, so it's a business. They look at it as a business, and they don't lease them. They actually sold them. Now, Channel 4 in Detroit is not owned by NBC. It's owned by Washington Post, Post Newsweek, or it used to be Post Newsweek. I don't know. But, and so Mike, I think you may be correct that they probably don't own it. They own the
And it
property.
doesn't hurt to ask, because how
Absolutely.
you're going to
Yeah.
know. And Al's got an excellent idea. If they have a spare antenna that they're not using, and one of the engineers, is ham radio friendly, and they have this feed line, and all we have to do is replace an antenna and two connectors and hire a tower climber.
I could just
Bingo.
imagine
We
what that
got
That's
a
what,
was.
we got a wide area coverage system.
absolutely. 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 That's what happened basically over at the water tower, right? Or the water, whatever that is.
And Joe, I looked up the WDAB TV real quick. It looks like the station itself is owned by the Graham Media Group, like Graham Cracker. I never
Yeah.
heard of them, but
She
you know how
was,
you
she,
know these guys, like they sell each other stations, they conglomerate with each other constantly.
no,
So that's just the latest configuration, I guess.
no, she's the daughter. What's her name? What's her first name? Something Graham.
Well,
She's the whatever her name is, but that's where the Graham comes from. And they started the Post News. They sold Post News. That's right. They
yeah,
sold Post Newsweek to Amazon, right? To what's his name there? And so I guess they started the Graham. Yeah, because that's Catherine Graham. Is that her name? Whatever it is, but she was.
it's run by a different person now. It's Catherine Badalamente is the president and CEO of Graham Media Group now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all just to say that, like, the station itself is owned, by Graham Media Group, which,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right, it was Post Newsweek stations, um, but yeah, the tower is owned by somebody else, and that's who you really got to talk to.
right, right. But I started this station and find out. You know what I mean? So, and I worked on their satellite dish actually, because that was my project. We replaced all the satellite dishes at all 125 NBC affiliates. So, of course, when it came to Detroit, it's like, oh, make sure these guys get all the good stuff. So, but whether that was 12 years ago, 15 years, maybe 15 years. So I don't even know if those same guys are there, but it'd be nice to say hello anyway. So, all right, we will do that. Anything else? Anything
Yeah,
else?
I have
Go
something
ahead,
that
Les.
happened on the news today. The Go Lightly Technical Academy in Detroit is moving to Detroit City Airport in October of 2026. So I don't know if the receive antenna is on that building right now. So the colonel was on the broadcast, and I guess he'll notify us what's going on.
Good for them.
The receive antenna is actually at the front of the Detroit City Airport building, so it doesn't have to go anywhere.
It's good for them.
Now,
Yeah,
we
go ahead.
do have stuff at Go Lately. Technically, they own it because they bought all the stuff and we just installed it. But they ran, had their guy run cables, and I don't know what we ever did with the antennas that were up there. I think they're stored somewhere in Go Lightly, so we might want to make sure that stuff doesn't go to waste when they tear that building down, if that's what they're going to do.
They
Wow.
didn't say nothing about tearing the building
Hey,
down. It just said
no,
that
but
they're
that's
I
what
had heard the colonel say something about a couple of years ago, but
they're
yeah.
tearing. You're right, Mike. You're right, and you're right. And that's a great point. Boy, it'd be a shame for that thing to go missing. Anyway.
Yeah. You can
But
drop all the antennas off in my house. That'd be great.
I still have the picture of you and John you in your backyard.
Oh, my backyard. Yeah, that I said that one too.
So anyway, but yes, good for them. I'm glad they announced it. I know they've been working on that for years, and it's going to be in the terminal. What's currently the terminal building was their plan, if it's the same plan,
Yeah,
which
they're
is
going to
right
be
next to where
renovating
we
the
are.
terminal building for the kids.
The
It'll
what?
be a bigger academy.
I'm sorry, say again.
They're going to be renovating the terminal building for the kids, and it'll be open in 2026.
Good for them. What a I mean, I'd love to be part of that project. Anyway, all right.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
you teased us with, you met with, I lost his name now.
Oh,
MI5 guys.
Fred?
Fred Moses.
Yeah, you
Fred
teased us
Moses.
that you met with Fred, but that's all you did. Give us
Yeah.
more. Come on. Come on.
Well, we just had a general. First of all, I didn't even know who he was. I didn't even know who I was sitting across from. And I said, "Hi, how are you, Fred Moses? I'm Joe." Blah blah blah. And it didn't register there for about 15 minutes because he was going on. And I'm thinking, "Wow, this guy, he's pretty plugged into what's going on around here." And then, when you have that like aha moment, it's like, "Oh, I know who he is." And then we continued. So we really talked about kind of more philosophy of digital, of the networks, and great if we would create a node, which we certainly can and hope to be able to do. We fill in an empty spot for that network. It really works out pretty well in the southwestern sort of quadrant, of Oakland County. So that would work out good. So we talked about that sort of stuff. And then, really a good, maybe 45-minute conversation there. It took, like I said, though, it took 15 for me to figure out who I'm sitting across from. So anyway, it was great. It was really good. So I sent him that, and we'll continue to keep everybody updated, because that's, really, I think,
Well,
like I said,
did you ask them whether the MI5 guys would be willing to help us install the antenna and all of the stuff we need replaced? Because they could
now,
do that.
now you would have thought so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
That would have been the first question out of my mouth.
But he was like, it was so fascinating what he was talking about. I totally like kind of lost my focus. But yeah, you're right. But I followed up with an email, and I sent him that little uh, presentation I just showed you, and so we got the conversation going. So it's a good. I feel real good about that. We'll still get a commercial estimate, but do diligence.
Don't forget what Sean said,
Right.
that if we really want the MI5 guys, we need to butter one side of the bread for them. If we can offer them, hey, you can have some space here.
Yeah.
Hey, you can put a dish there. we butter one side of the bread for them, and they'll be right there. So
Right.
Or
remember,
if they're
how,
net,
to find out what they need. How can we help you guys so you guys can help us?
Right.
And
Right, and
or
that's
if
$100 a
it
crack.
makes more sense to do their networking equipment, I am totally fine with that. But it was just like I asked for the information. I waited 2 weeks. I didn't hear anything from anybody. I had given my information. I had not received an email or a phone number or anything, but I had given my phone number and my email. I heard nothing back, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to move forward with this. So if they're like, yeah, we'll put up your antenna, but we want you to buy our network gear and we'll, do the mesh system with our network gear rather than your network gear. Cool. Do it. Amazing.
Right.
Fantastic. Like tried and tested. I've
And
done
one
those
other thing
before,
is,
not on this scale, but
one
sure,
other thing
have
is
at it.
that they are insured, trained, ARRL certified, and a bunch of other stuff, according to Sean.
yeah. So, and Sean,
Have at it.
Yeah, they're fully there.
okay. All right. Listen, this is
That's
all good
conversation
news
for
here.
the next
All good
breakfast.
news.
I got to peace out. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Anyway, all right. We'll see you all. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. All right.
That's
Yeah, I gotta
Okay.
get home too.
Thanks,
Let's-
everybody. We'll see
Less
you.
chatter, less chatter,
tuned.
more clatter.
Take
All right.
care, everybody.
See you later. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
All right. Good night, Vera. Thank you for joining. Oh, you're gone. All right.
Mhm.
Where's my cursor?
Say good night, Joe.
Good night, Joe.